Jenny Watz is a business coach and a messaging strategist who works with high energy entrepreneurs who are ready to grow their business so they can live life on their own terms. She uses her expertise in communications and writing and a no BS approach to unlock her clients' true potential for their maximum results. That work with Jenny get to lean into their authentic selves and create a sustainable business. So thank you, Jenny. She's here today to talk about mindset for business mastery. So welcome, Jenny.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
So, what do you think, according to you, what is a mindset for business mastery?
Mindset for business mastery, and it's not just according to me. Lots of people have have proposed this concept as well. But mindset really matters more for our business than we like to think it does. I work with a lot of people who are feeling like they're being held back in their business for some reason and they can't really pinpoint it. And once you start digging down and like peeling the layers of the onion, you discover, these past experiences. I don't really want to say traumas, but experiences that you've gone through that are somehow holding you back even to this day. I'll give an example for myself. Early on in my career, I was actually bullied by some coworkers, and it kind of came out of nowhere. We were friends. We went to happy hours together, all this kind of stuff. And one day I was sitting at home and the telephone rang and I picked it up and it was two of my coworkers, and they just started berating me on the phone and telling me that, I was snobby and I thought I was better than everybody else and like all this kind of stuff that just like came out of left field. And, I didn't know where it came from. And then I kind of, put that out of my mind. And I mean, this happened like more than 20 years ago. And just recently I discovered that phone call deep down was still in me and it was holding me back because I've been afraid to be myself and afraid to, do the work that I want to do for fear of people thinking that I think I'm above them for some reason. And, so it's things like that we can uncover. We're like, oh, that's where that came from. And then we learn how to neutralize it so that it's not affecting us negatively and we can move on and move forward in our business.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a wonderful example. Thank you for sharing that. Because I do believe it's true. I think that like many of us, all of us have these conversations in our own heads, and it's just a matter of becoming aware of them.
Right.
So let me ask you, what tools do you have that people can use to help garner some awareness around this?
Sure. I think one thing people can do is to start paying attention to the language patterns that they use. Not only, internally, but externally. For example, instead of saying that, oh, I have to go to work today or I have to do the laundry. So, you know what? I get to do the laundry or even I get to pay the mortgage because you don't have to pay the mortgage. The truth is you don't have to do anything, right? Except pretty much die. But, you get to pay the mortgage and that allows you to have a roof over your head and all that kind of stuff. So just being more grateful of things like that, saying get to instead of have to, and using the word and instead of but. I want to do this, but how about I want to do this and I also want to do this.
Yeah.
Just those little variations can really make a huge difference. One other thing people can try is trying to eliminate the absolute language.
Yeah.
And, the absolute language is, like I hear from some of my clients, no one wants to work with me. I've done everything I can. Have you done everything? Like really everything? No
Yeah,
one, there's like 8 billion people in the world. No one, literally no one wants to work with you.
right.
So try putting things into a more realistic perspective, and
Yeah.
eliminating the absolute language will help you, focus more on being present and more mindful in your business.
I love that. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of absolute language, the always and never, always
Right.
I always try this and this and this and it never works. Well, it hasn't yet, you know. Yeah,
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
it hasn't yet. I love this approach about being super mindful and selective about the words that we use, internally and
Hmm.
externally. And you know,
Yeah.
do you have any tips for people to how to, get a little more mindful about what they're saying and internally and externally? Because I mean, sometimes we just talk and we don't even think about it.
Right. And it starts with becoming more mindful of what you're saying. And if that means you get to slow down and
Mm,
talk a little more slowly, which sometimes I have a tendency to like talk really fast, especially when I'm excited about something, right?
yeah.
Uh, so, just slowing down and thinking about the words and your approach to a conversation, even internally with yourself.
Mm,
You can start by looking in the mirror every morning and just telling yourself, "Hey, you got this." Just telling yourself something positive
yeah.
to just kick off your day will help you become more mindful. And that's part of messaging strategy is, knowing the right words to use and the words
Mm,
that are going to resonate with people and with your audience especially. And that that comes with being mindful of what they want, what they need, which are not necessarily the same thing.
yeah. Yeah. That's a good. Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Right, what your audience wants versus what they need is completely different. So we need to use language that helps them get what they want and then deliver what they need. Uh,
Yes.
so
That's
sorry,
an
I kind of
important
went off on a
distinction to
tangent
make.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I love how you mentioned the talking in the mirror thing and learning that self advocacy and self cheerleading, because that's an
Mhm.
important skill to build, because I think it helps us with resiliency,
Right.
because we could have a crappy week, month, year, as long as we can bounce back from it and be like, you know what, I got this. Let's keep trying. Let's give it
Yeah,
another shot or
yeah.
try something different. So, that's I think that's really important and valuable. I know myself personally, um, in my story is I went through a time where it was just kind of like getting in my face. My self-talk was just like getting in my face. And I wasn't quite sure what it was.
Mhm,
And then I had some external sources like a mentor my coaching mentor at the time, and then
mhm,
another class I was in at the time, kind of like, well, you got to pay attention to your thoughts. I'm like, what are my thoughts? I started writing them down, and I
mhm.
started a devoted journaling practice, and that really helped uncover. And I was like, oh, what's this? And then I could track it. Oh, well, I did that again. I said that again about myself or about my life. But what does that really mean, and where does that come from? So it helped me to peel some of the layers from my onion.
Yeah, absolutely. Journaling is a great way to uncover some of those things. And when I started journaling, uh, after I went back and like looked through some of my notes, one word kept coming up over and over and over again, and that was focus.
Mm,
And so it's amazing when you journal, like subconsciously, what you can uncover just from the words that you're consciously writing. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that are like, well, I, feel like my business is just fine, but just fine, right? And so why would I want to pay attention? Seems like extra work. But what's on the other side of that for them? What's the potential for them if they do pay attention?
Well, first of all, I would like to ask if just fine is something they're just fine with.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
if someone says, "How's your business?" It's just fine. Do you want it to be just fine, or do you want it to be awesome? There's a difference there, and I'd say that mindset. People can say, "Oh, I've done mindset work already. I don't need any of that." And the truth
Yeah.
is, we always need mindset work.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being in a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And being in a growth mindset is something that's almost a requirement if you're an entrepreneur, if you are in business for yourself, because you you get to constantly learn new things and improve on how you're doing business. And maybe things are working well in your business. You're going along great. You're hitting your income goals, all of that kind of stuff. That's awesome. And there are probably other things you can do to scale even more.
Mm.
Or if you don't want to scale, if you're perfectly happy and content with where your business is at, you can still use mindset tools to perhaps get a new perspective on something or a new way to serve your clients.
Mhm.
It doesn't always have to be about monetary growth. It's about how you can deliver the most value. And
Yeah.
with a positive mindset, it's much easier to do than approaching things with I don't know, lack of a better word, a pissy attitude.
Yeah. I mean,
Sorry,
I
I've
think
got my
it's fair to
sign
say
behind me.
yeah. It's fine. You didn't hear one of my other interviews. Um, but, I think it's fair to say even that, like, a fixed mindset would be the person that says, "Well, I've already done mindset work," and a growth mindset would be the person's like, "There's always more growth mindset work to do."
Right, exactly, and, a growth mindset is someone, who is with someone who approaches their business and even their personal life with the intention of bettering themselves. I mean, there is no perfection, right? We're not practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes
Right.
better, right?
Yeah.
So we're working to better ourselves. We can always enhance our personal relationships, our health, at every aspect of ourselves we can better ourselves at. And a growth mindset helps us to continue doing that throughout our lives.
So someone that's never done this, never started this, like, you said slow down. That was a great tip. Slow down
Mhm,
your speaking.
mhm.
Is there anything else that they could really do to kind of like catch some of those thoughts or words?
Yeah, so slowing down, you hit on journaling, which I
Mhm.
think is a great practice. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
And, even myself, I consider myself, a writer. Sometimes I have a difficult time journaling every day. I haven't been able to make that a habit.
Mm.
So, that's something I get to improve on, right? Uh, um, there are all kinds of different things. And, there's no one size fits all. Some people like meditation.
Mm.
Some people do tapping.
Mm.
Um, I mean, it all depends, but I would encourage people to try different things and see what happens. I've actually been experimenting with uh, listening to different wavelengths. So there's
Okay.
alpha waves, there's beta waves, all of those kind of waves, and alpha waves help me they help jog my creativity.
Really?
So, yeah, so
Okay.
I will put my headphones in and I just look something up on YouTube. Like it's not something I, have, invested tons of money into specific musicians or anything. Um, and I just put it on for like 10 minutes. And that's when I do a lot of my social media posting
Okay.
while I'm listening to the alpha waves in the background because it's kind of like it stops my brain from saying, "Oh, I got to create a post," right? I think we've all been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've heard of a few people talk about, well, when I get up in the morning, one of the first things I do is I put on something that's inspiring, like
Mhm,
in like a 10-minute inspirational talk or whatever, or I
mhm,
read something that's inspiring. Like,
right.
what do you think the role of inspiration is in having a mindset that's positive?
If people can find something that they are inspired by, I think they should latch onto it. Uh,
Mhm.
inspiration, and even like with social media posting, it should be about inspiring people and not really educating people.
Mm,
You want to inspire them. So I think inspiration is a great motivator. Something else that I like to do, and some people think this might be crazy, is I like to use a walk-up song, what I call a walk-up song. Like baseball
yeah, I love
players.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They've got a song that plays when they're walking up to bat, and it kind of gets them going, it gets the crowd going.
Yeah.
So it's that song that says, "I'm about to hit this out of the park." So
Mhm.
I like to have my clients think of what their walk-up song would be. And obviously, it's probably gonna
Nice.
change,
Yeah.
depending on the year, the quarter, the day, I don't know. But think of a walk-up song and just play that song. Play that song once in the morning. I'm a big music fan, and so I listen to a lot of music, and I talk about music a lot. So that's one thing I love doing. And like currently my walk-up song is "'Cause I Can" by Pink.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a playlist that I set up that's called Abundance, and and there's like one that's like 2023. I get paid to be me.
Awesome, I love that.
Yeah. So that's one of my walk-up songs.
Awesome. Love it. Love it.
So, you kind of highlighted, at the beginning of the conversation, some of the things like that hold people back from achieving the success, or some of these negative talks, like, or negative self-talk. Is
Mhm.
there anything else that could be like playing into that, or contributing to that?
There's so much. A lot of as business owners, sometimes, many times, we didn't set out to become business owners.
Yeah.
Uh, a lot of people, myself included, I kind of fell into entrepreneurship, um, and along the way, I brought with me all of that baggage from previous, right? So all of my different jobs that I've had, we've had different bosses, we've had different rules we had to follow in the workplace, we had all of this kind of stuff, right? So we're approaching our entrepreneurship with an employee mindset.
Oh,
So we're like
wow.
employeepreneurs instead of entrepreneurs.
That's interesting.
And
Yeah.
that's something else that we get to look at, and we get to come to terms with, is basically, hey, I'm running the show now, right?
Mm,
So I don't have to clock in at 8 a.m. I don't have to just take 30 minutes for lunch. We get to make our own rules. We
yeah.
get to serve our clients in the ways that we think will benefit them the most, without following some arbitrary rule that no one thinks makes any sense except the one person who implemented it, who doesn't even do anything, right?
Yeah, I got to tell you, some of the, I've seen the full spectrum in entrepreneurship, right? So I've seen the slave driving entrepreneur who drives themselves 18 hours a day
Right.
at a very rigid schedule, and I've seen entrepreneurs be a little more, like, shall we say, seemingly flaky, where
Right.
they might get to do something once a month, that makes them feel productive.
Mhm.
How does one, like, do you have any tips for how one, like, sets parameters that are right for how they work?
Absolutely. Organizing your business is critical to success. So I like to help my clients kind of get past the employeepreneur mindset. And that can be something as simple as stop charging by the hour,
Yeah.
and trading all of your time for money. which is what we're used to as employees, right?
Yeah.
We go to work, we work for 8 hours, we get a paycheck that represents those 8 hours of pay or
Mhm.
8 hours of work. And, just starting with that alone can be a major shift because you're automatically then delivering service to your clients in a better, more efficient way. You are increasing your income potential, um, and you are doing the work that you love doing. Uh, so just that thing alone is a big key. Yeah, and as a business owner, you get to decide what works for you. If
Mm.
you want to take every Friday off, that's entirely up to you. If, and there are some entrepreneurs, some business owners who want to work 60, 70 hours a week. Good for them.
Yeah.
I'm not that person, just so you know. uh, I am a big proponent of living life on your own terms, and that is what I help my clients to do. So if they want to, be able to, take every Friday off or spend every afternoon with their kids or be able to, drop their kids off in the morning and pick them up in the evening, from to and from school without feeling like, oh, I have to get back and, do this or that. I want them to feel empowered to be able to do that without the guilt that we oftentimes associate with it because we're used to having a boss who says, "No, you can't take off, or you can't do this, or you can't do that." Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's again, it's mindset. We have to train our brains to think differently.
Yeah. And it's an ongoing, never-ending process because that's just the beauty of being human, I think.
It is, yes, yes.
I like to say, even Deepak Chopra has his shit.
Yes, we all have our shit. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when you're talking about entrepreneurial growth, and what is something that entrepreneurs can do aside from monitoring their self-talk and being aware of that and trying to shift that? What's something else that they can do to be in growth with their business?
One thing I like to help my clients with is creating what I call cosmic offers.
Okay.
Yeah. So, cosmic is, basically out of this world, right? So, out of this world, far out, like, bigger than the universe kind of thing. So, an offer that is so cosmic, so out of this world that your clients are going to want to be in your orbit,
Mm.
basically, if I'm staying with the universe theme. Um, yeah, so I help them create offers, and a lot of times they'll come to me and say, "Well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to put this together." And there's a process to go through that makes sense for what you offer and how you deliver your services. And I should say that I primarily work with service-based providers instead of people who sell physical products. Um, so I help them find um, find the synchronicities in what they're doing that they may see as maybe a one-off, but it's really
Mm.
not. I kind of help them put things together logically, and I think a lot of that, my experience with that comes from um, book editing and ghostwriting, and people may not see the connection there, but a lot of what I did was help authors organize their thoughts.
Yeah.
I had one author one time, and he was a business owner. He's not an author. He was a business owner who was writing a book, a business book. And he came to me, and his book had 57 chapters,
Oh.
right? And I'm like, okay, one, no one's going to read this. If they open it and they just look at the table of contents and see 57 chapters, they're going to
Right.
slam it shut. And even if it were a required textbook, in a college course, no one's going to read it.
Ouch.
Um, so, I helped him organize his thoughts, and he really didn't have 57 different messages and thoughts. There were a lot of things that could be combined, and that were basically the same thing, just said in different ways. So,
Yeah.
I helped him, kind of turn those 57 chapters into like 12 really good cohesive chapters. Uh, so things like that help me to see a bigger picture with my clients. And so I can help them. I can look at everything that they're offering and say, okay, let's, it's like putting a puzzle together. This
Yeah.
goes here, this goes here, this, and once you have a great, well positioned offer, um, you can, sorry, you can, present it to your audience, and they'll be like, yeah, that's what I want.
I think sometimes that's the thing. Well, that's one of the couple things that entrepreneurs that I know struggle with the most is like just really getting that the language around their offer finely tuned to really get to the heart of what they're providing in a way that
Mhm.
the people on the receiving end can really feel that,
Right.
and be like, yeah,
Right.
I'm in, you bought and sold me. Um, the other thing I've seen them struggle with, and maybe you can give some insight into this, is writing their bio. Writing the about me section in their bio. I mean, I know I've struggled with it, but almost all of my service-based friends have had, just a long road with, you know, what do I do? What do I say about who I am and what I do?
Right. Right. Yeah, so bio writing, a lot of people get tripped up on that, and I think partially it's because we don't like to talk about ourselves, right? We don't like to
Mm,
brag about ourselves, and when you're writing your bio, that's kind of what you have to do, right?
yeah.
And have to say, "I'm awesome, and here's why." Uh, you know,
Yeah.
and people just really aren't comfortable doing that, right? So first of all, and here's another entrepreneurial lesson that I've learned. Um, if you really don't want to write your bio, get someone else to do it for you.
Mhm.
As entrepreneurs, we sometimes think we're solopreneurs. We're not
Yeah.
solopreneurs. We don't have to do everything ourselves. If there is something you truly don't want to do and someone else is better at it, just let them do it.
Absolutely. Great advice. Absolutely. You're
Just
right,
let them
because we
do it.
do, we like isolate ourselves and
Right.
sometimes it's not easy to see the greatness that we offer, but pulling that from people outside of us that's able to mirror that for us really can help. And then
Right.
that right there, their contribution can help us shift our mindset about ourselves too.
Exactly. So, if it's, in the case of your bio and you know that you don't want to do it, you're not good at doing it, you have no idea how to even begin it, just any insert reason.
Mhm.
Um, find someone else who's good at writing bios to do it for you. And that goes with other things that you can delegate as well. Um, if there are truly things you don't want to do, let someone else do it. But again, this is going to require you letting go.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have trouble with that as well.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. Yeah.
yeah. So again, mindset.
Yeah.
Everything comes back to mindset. But if you're going to write your bio, first of all, it depends on who you're writing your bio for, because different people have different conferences or things will want them in different formats.
Mm.
First person, third person, all that kind of stuff. So make sure you know what those parameters are,
Mhm.
um, and then keep it short and sweet. And if you have to find inspiration from someone else who's already submitted their bio and everybody said it looks good, okay. Look at theirs and say, okay, so they said they went to college. I'll put that here. And they have a dog. I'll put that here. So, you
Yeah.
don't have to reinvent the wheel every time.
I think that's wonderful advice, and looking at bios that were like, "Oh yeah, that was really good when I read that." I mean, I've read bios that are like an entire page long and I'm like, "Okay." You know, Thank you for sharing your story with me and like could we like cut it down a little bit?
Right.
Um
Yeah. There's a bio that says I'm awesome. And then
yeah.
there's a bio that says, okay, we know you're awesome. Yeah. Get on with it already. Yeah.
So, Jenny, tell me how this positive mindset, how does that open the door in our entrepreneur business, how does that help us grow and achieve and become more successful overall?
A positive mindset, as I mentioned, can help us not only in our business, but in our personal life.
Yeah.
And, I'll just take, let's say, working out, for example. Working out is something I used to do a lot of and I need to do more of now. Um, but I know that when I was working out, I felt really great about myself.
Yeah.
And that great energy flowed over into my business.
Okay.
I approach the day, you stand up taller, you're just kind of, feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
And when you approach things with a positive mindset, you're able to see more opportunities.
That's a great example. Yeah.
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 You can see more opportunities and you can find opportunities
Mhm.
where, instead of being presented with a challenge and going, oh, shit, now what do I do? You know, or just, stop doing anything because you're like, well, crap, this happened. So, you know,
Yeah.
might as well give up. Instead of that, you can look at it and say, how can I turn this challenge into an opportunity?
Mm.
Instead of saying, well, I can't do this, say, how can I do this? Uh,
Seems like it opens the door to creativity in your business too. Like,
Absolutely.
how can I do this? Well, then
Hmm.
maybe I'm going to develop a workaround to that and then actually be able to get to that goal that I have.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So it just helps us, like you said, be more creative and, be in a moving forward mindset. When you are thinking positively and when you are, uh, just setting yourself up for success, you have forward momentum.
Mm,
And, if you are in a negative mindset and you think everything sucks, the world's out to get you, oh, poor me, I'm a victim, you're kind of stuck,
mm,
until you can get past that, you're just there,
yeah.
So having a growth mindset is really critical to your business success and your personal success.
I would just love to touch base on that, the element that you were talking about, like with the working out and how, you felt great and you carried yourself more confidently and that
Mhm.
I believe that that is like an actual energy that we can carry with us when we're feeling good about ourselves in some kind of way. Like you said, it goes across all different parts of our lives, different
Right.
aspects of our lives.
Exactly.
So if you're feeling good physically, then that's representing perhaps a little bit in your relationships. Maybe you feel a little more
Mhm.
confident in your relationships. And guess what business is? It's relationships.
Mhm.
And so there's a whole interconnection in
Right.
all of that. So I do agree with you that if you build step by step this relationship with self and this positive mindset, then it can affect everything incrementally. um
Yeah.
yeah, and that energy just becomes like, you see those people that are walking out on the street or walking to the coffee shop and you're like, "Oh, wow. They just
Right.
seem like they're open, they got it. It's amazing." They seem so
Right.
strong and confident. And it's like the Meg Ryan, I want some of that,
Right. I
right?
want what she's having. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I really love that you mentioned that about the exercising thing because it really just snowballed into this thought.
Yeah, yeah. And you brought up, relationships, and I know you work a lot with relationships. Um, that's something else that I think entrepreneurs can do. And I say entrepreneurs, but really anyone, everyone. Uh, Surround yourself with more positive people.
Mm,
And a lot of times it's easier said than done because
yeah.
sometimes, the people in our circle, or maybe they're all our family and we live with them and they're all negative Nellies, whatever. Um, but you can limit your exposure to those types of people, to people whose words and actions kind of bring you down.
Yeah.
Um, because just surrounding yourself with more positive thinkers will inspire you to think more positively.
Yeah.
Because it's like misery loves company. If you're around people who are always belly aching about everything, I mean, that rubs off on you, right? Like you can feel the vibe in the room, like the energy just bogs you
Yeah.
down. So be mindful of that. And if you walk in a room and there are people there that you're not, jiving with, you don't have to stay.
Thank you for giving everyone permission.
Right.
Yeah.
Give yourself
Yeah.
permission to say, you know what? I'm not cool with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's wonderful, and I think that I another belief of mine is that if we surround ourselves with these positive people and we're building this relationship with ourselves in this positive mindset, then that kind of can offer itself to building a little bit of an immunity to the negative
Mhm.
Nellies out there.
Yeah.
Because after a certain point, like the glow is so big, like you can't mess with this.
Right.
You do you, I'm over here doing this, and I'm all aglow. And the people that could support you in that, like we all have
Mhm.
bad days.
Right.
So, having those positive mindset friends to kind of like help you dust yourself off and shine yourself up and like glow you back, like
Mhm.
it's just tremendous. It's so powerful.
Yeah. I'd also like to say that I know, like you just said, everybody has bad days, right?
Yeah.
Um, and if you're having a bad day, it's okay. And you can feel
Yeah.
bad. Okay. It's okay to feel your feelings.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I'm not saying, just like live in a bubble and just act like everything's great all the time.
Right.
It's okay to feel your feelings, but, sorry, see, I'm a work in progress too.
We're all work in
Yeah.
progress.
And you get to channel that feeling though. It's so, okay, I'm feeling sad today. I'm going to feel sad. I'm going to let myself feel sad. Decide how long you're going to let yourself do that though, and then
Mm,
decide what you're gonna do next,
yeah.
you know?
I call that the so what, now what? Okay. We felt this, we've had this experience.
Right,
So now what?
right.
What are we
Yeah,
gonna do with that?
yeah, we feel our feelings, we acknowledge our feelings because they're valid. All feelings are valid, right?
Mhm.
So acknowledge your feeling and then learn how to neutralize it
Mm.
instead of, you know, causing you to have another bad day or, if something bad happens in the morning, like you spill coffee on yourself or, something, uh,
Yeah,
you
that
know.
that snowball effect of
Right, the
negativity.
snowball effect, and
Yeah.
then, like, you just your whole day's gone to shit, right? And
Right.
it's only 8 AM. Uh, well,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be that way. So, feel your feelings, get pissed off at your clumsy self and, go home and change your pants or, just
Yeah.
blah yourself off and say, "Okay, it is what it is." You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think far too often, I know in the past I've had an issue with like rigidity, and I didn't want to look like a fool. Well, I'm actually a very silly person sometimes. So, I mean, of course I'm going to look like a fool if I let my true nature come through, right?
Mhm.
Cuz whatever, I'm a dork. Um
Me
so
too.
right?
Mm.
So, like it's okay to like oops, and spill the coffee and like but again like just letting it be and without making meaning about it, or discovering, okay, I spilled coffee and I felt this way, it made me feel sad, it ruined my day. What is it about that ruined my day? What did that remind me of? What
Right, right.
what was that similar to? So finding the roots, like you said, peeling
Mhm.
back those layers of the onion. What was the core cause of that? you
Right,
know
right.
yeah. So, Jenny, I know, and you'd mentioned to us that you started out as a copywriter and book editor. Like, how did you make the transition from that into this business coaching that you're doing now?
That is a great question, and people ask me that a lot, actually. Uh, when I was doing book editing, manuscript editing, and ghostwriting, and even book coaching, I worked with a lot of people who, again, were business owners who were writing books about their business to build authority, which is a great way to build authority.
Yeah.
Um, what I found though is that I wasn't in love with that work.
Mm.
And don't get me wrong, I'm a grammar geek. I love words. I love editing words.
Yeah.
The part I loved about that whole process, whether it was the ghostwriting or the book editing, like I mentioned with the one author with the 57 chapters, was helping them figure out what they're trying to say. So, in all of that, whether it was the book coaching, the ghostwriting, the editing, it all came down to that one thing. What are you trying to say?
Yeah.
And that's the part that I really, really enjoyed and that I was really good at. So I kind of parlayed that into the business coaching and messaging strategy because a lot of people, a lot of business owners don't really know what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
Or they try to say too many things. They try to shove, 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bucket, right? Uh,
Yeah. Or they say something everyone else has said, because that's what
exactly.
it seems like they're supposed to say.
Right, right. Yeah. So that's how I transitioned from that, honestly. Yeah, because I love helping people figure out what their story is, figure out what they're saying, and figure out how they can differentiate themselves in the market from other people who may be doing the same or similar things.
I don't know if you knew this about me, but I used to teach business at a massage school here locally in St. Louis.
I did not know that.
And and the people who are most into serving and healing, right, have the hardest time with selling themselves and putting themselves out there because they just want to do good in the world, right?
Right,
And
right.
so it's really challenging for them to like, well, how do I, bring this to the world and let people know what I do? And, so I think that what you do has such value, and like all of you massage therapists and energy workers and stuff, like this is good stuff for you because I know that you struggle with putting what you do into words because how do you encapsulate magic, right? But there's a many of us that do magic in different ways, and it's not always
Mhm.
massage or energy work. Jenny, you do magic, helping people bring their stories to life. So, it's possible, and find some people who can support you. Maybe reach out to Jenny. Like help get people to help you draw out your story and really give life to what you do. It's so important to you and your business and your finances, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And to my point earlier, you don't have to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
If you suck at marketing, okay, you can admit that you suck at marketing and hire someone else to do it, or
Yeah.
commit to yourself to get better at it, learn more about it and do it yourself, and realize that that's going to take time. And so then you get to decide, how much time do I want to devote to this, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, everything is a process, everything's a decision. That's the other great thing about being an entrepreneur. Everything's a decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's a decision. Yeah, so you don't have to do it yourself. And a lot of times, what we're great at for other people, we kind of suck at for ourselves.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you're
I
like,
don't know what
"Oh,
you're talking about.
yeah, I do it for everybody all day long. Why can't I do it for myself?" Because that's the way it works, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
so just understand that, and again, know that you don't have to do everything yourself, and making an investment in your business, whether it's through mindset work or having somebody write your bio, or
Yeah.
uh, or helping you with your messaging and your content strategy. I mean, that's an investment in your business. It's not really an expense. It's an investment in your business. If you
That's
had
a
your
great
message dialed in and your audience knew exactly what they were going to get when they worked with you, and as a result, clients started knocking on your door and paying you, how much is that worth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could you real quick give us like a brief, like a definition, like content strategy? That's so intriguing, right? Like that's just sounds like, oh, there's a plan. What kind of a plan is that? What is it?
It content strategy is a lot like manuscript editing. And what I mean by that is if you ask an editor what an editor does, you're going to get like different answers. Uh,
Mhm.
so, um, content strategy, people have different approaches to it. Um, so it's really what works best for you. Again, like nothing is a one size fits all. I'm not going to say, well, you have
Yeah,
to post 3 times a day on this channel and this channel and this channel. I mean, that's not it. First of all, your
right.
content strategy should focus on where do your clients hang out?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, if your clients are, you know, 85-year-old women, I doubt they're on TikTok all day, right? So
Yeah,
so stop spending all of your time on TikTok. Um, so,
yeah.
so first of all, figure out where your audience hangs out. And secondly, figure out what social media platforms you like to use.
Mhm.
Because if you don't like using like X or Twitter or whatever they call themselves now, um, chances are you're not going to use it, right?
Yeah,
I don't really like X, but for my business, I got to go on there and I got to post every day and do this. And, if you dread it every day,
yeah,
it's not going to be something that you enjoy. And believe it or not, your mindset comes through in your content.
yeah.
So if you start posting while you're feeling all this, existential dread about what you have to do, that's actually going to come through in your words. So, focus on where your audience hangs out most and where you like to hang out. And you don't have to be on every social media platform there is.
What a
I think
great example for content strategy. Like, honestly, like, figuring out where your audience is huge. And you know what? As an entrepreneur, you don't gotta do nothing. You make all the rules, right? You make all the decisions, right?
exactly.
So, you
Exactly.
don't
Yeah.
have to do anything. There's not one size fit all approach.
Right. A lot of business owners think that they have to be on all the platforms. I have to have Instagram. I have to have Facebook. I have to have Twitter, X, Threads. I have to have
Yeah, everything.
yeah, I have to have everything. And then you
Yeah,
just end up spreading yourself too thin, and then you dilute your message. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
so if you can really just, home in on 1 or 2 platforms that serve you the best, where you know your clients are or the people you want to reach, that's going to be a better strategy overall. And from there, you can then focus on the types of content you want to put out and how
Mm,
often and all of that kind of stuff. But first, focus on the channel first. Figure out
yeah.
what channel makes most sense for you.
Great advice. Great advice.
Thank you.
Jenny, do you have anything else you want to say about mindset strategy or, switching your mindset for business growth? Like, what else do you got to say? Anything? I just want to make sure we hit all the boxes.
I think we hit on a lot of the big stuff, but I would say that again, it's having a growth mindset is critical to entrepreneurship, to running your own business,
Mhm.
and it's something that we get to practice every day because there is
Every
no
day.
perfect, and
Yeah.
and it's something that we get better at. And the more we practice mindset and our approach to business and life in general, the better we're going to be, the happier we're going to be, the freer we're going to feel. That's a big one for me. Like that's one of my big whys. Why
Mhm.
do I do this? It's the freedom, the feeling of freedom of not being tied down by anything else, by anyone else. Um, so the positive mindset helps with that feeling of freedom.
I
Um,
have to say, I knew you when you were doing the, like, editing and the ghostwriting and the book coaching,
mhm.
and now that you're doing the content and messaging and business coaching, you do seem happier and more free, and I just wanna acknowledge that, and you've done some great work with your own mindset, and it's just awesome to see. Like, it is work. Like, let's be honest, it is
Yeah.
work, and some days it's easier than others. Some days I'm
Mhm.
cheering myself up the hill, like, "You got this," and then other days I'm like, "I want Netflix."
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
it's just yeah, it's just real life. And thank you so much for sharing your expertise here. And let people know, how can they find you?
People can find me on Facebook. That's where my primary audience is. That's where I hang out the most. So my personal profile is actually a professional profile. So it's just my name, Jenny Watts. So you can find me on Facebook there. I also have a Facebook group. It is called Rockin' Content and Offer Creation for Groovy Entrepreneurs. Uh,
Nice.
because I'm a groovy entrepreneur and I like groovy. I like that whole vibe. So in that group, we talk about how to create cosmic offers, how to create content that rocks, and we support each other and build each other up. And people are free to promote their services in that group as well.
Wow,
So
great.
I encourage people to join that group and to send me a friend request on Facebook on my page. I would love it.
Fantastic. And we will drop all your content, your I'm sorry, your social media links and your website links in the comments below so everyone can reach out to you. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.